happens while I'm out here. See, playoffs are coming this weekend. You know, the only thing basketball related I was going to talk about is like Rasheed Wallace. I did a video I just come out where he was dissing Bill Walton, and Sheed's my dude. Like I roll with Sheed, but I can't clap for him about dissing Bill Walton. Bill Walton was one of the greatest players ever, college and his NBA career, especially in Portland. You know, and he was a great six-man for Boston. He was hurt, but when he was balling, he was a great player. He would have been one of the 10 greatest centers. You could still debate him if you want to, because he just, his stats are going to put him like with Dennis Rodman, and they may put him with Robert Horry, but make no mistake, Walton was that dude when he played. So I wanted to touch on that. This whole thing with Michael Parsons and Skip Bayless was hilarious because Michael just about nearly called him every name under the sun. But Skip got a valid point. They underachieved. And I'm gonna say it like this. By the time Skip be tripping and trolling and saying whatever, what's up, man? What's up? Glad to have you on. I know we're gonna be talking now. I have to side with him because Michael Parsons got compared to my cousin who's Lawrence Taylor, and I've talked to you about that. And when you get compared to a guy who's considered arguably one of the 5 greatest NFL players ever, and you can call him the greatest, you can make a debate wherever Lawrence Taylor is. You got to be better than what you are. And Michael Parsons wasn't. They looked horrible. They had every right to get their butt ripped up. I mean, what happened with Green Bay? You got a tight end who's probably like a 3rd-tier tight end, or a guy catches the ball and pretty much walks in the end zone. What kind of defense are they playing? What was Dan Quinn doing? Michael Parsons didn't do it. So, I mean, Parsons gets all this hype and all this love. He sucked that game. And he wants to come out and use profanity and diss somebody. He should start with himself. Look at the man in the mirror, before he starts talking about somebody. Yeah, DeMarcus Ware did come a big. That's why his numbers retired. Michael Parsons got the potential to be great. But if he play like that, he going to be on a milk carton more than he was the other day. I mean, that's just embarrassing. So I understand why Skip got in his behind, and rightfully so. You playing for Dallas. You're not playing. This ain't like he was playing for the Detroit Lions. The Lions haven't done much. So before any Lion fans come at me, it ain't like you exactly led up the league. You just won your first postseason game last week, first time in 30 plus years. Think about that. Think about that. I mean, that puts it in perspective how long it's been. The Lions last time they were relevant. So, yeah, well, that's why. And I remember I told you, don't compare him to Josh Allen, because he stunts and he stat pads. He kind of reminds me of LeBron James, except without the success. But he tend to see these late games where he be putting up numbers, and then people don't call him out on it. He's good, but he ain't great. And Cam Newton, I did my video where Cam came at Kimberly Martin. Cam told you about Dak, told you about Tua. And almost Jared Goff fell into that bowl of soup if the Rams, if Sean McVay didn't choke a field goal potential way, and we're going to see that with Brock Purdy. Cam Newton knew a thing or two about game manager, starting quarterback. Dak is not that dude. It wasn't it wasn't even about old boy who took the coordinating job with the Chargers. Mike McCarthy's a meathead. He don't know how to. He just not that dude, and it's not going to work. And it's going to be the same old thing. They'll win 12 games. They'll look like they something, and then they get their butts handed to them. Well, in all due respect, Jordan Love matured and grew over the season. So, yeah, if you'd have seen him the first 6 weeks, you may have thought, well, he's going to need about 2 or 3 years. LaFleur's schemes, he just got better and better, and he gotten better. And their defense sucks. They can't stop the run because Aaron Jones tears their behind on the line, and then they got beaten play action bad. I mean, that was embarrassing. That was just atrocious. That was atrocious. Now, I had a request video today that I did, which will come out probably tomorrow, because a Philadelphia Eagles fan asked me to do one about the Eagles, and I did it. You're debating which situation was more horrible, because they about 1 and 1A. They really are, and they ain't just the NFCs. Yeah, yeah. And they just don't. Well, again, and that's back to Jerry Jones. And again, he wants to have a hand of certain type of coaches. He wants a certain feel. He doesn't really want to, bring things up to task. That's their problem. They're done before they start. You know, yes, they can win games. Yes, they can look like they're pretty good. But then when they get put to the real rigors of a real legit situation, they get exposed and they get be bad. They get and be bad. They have embarrassed themselves. Yes, they have. Um, it's a real embarrassing situation, to say the least. And I don't think there's too many Cowboy fans that feel good about what's going on. But I'm looking forward to see Stephen A. Smith trolling them and making that snarky face and laughing at them, because that's what it's become. I mean, it's just Shannon Sharp said it best. If they can't scoop and pitch and run and good touchdowns and half the field, there ain't nothing. Beating up on the Giants, yeah, you shut the Giants out 90-0. But Jordan Love come to your house and almost put a 50 burger on your butt. And if one for them little garbage points you got, think about the points you had given up. You was getting housed. Yeah, well, Bobby Wagner, I don't know if he would have fit. He really didn't even fit with the Rams. He did good with the Seahawks. It's a matter of where a guy fits. Sometimes just because you see a guy, I know what you're saying, but sometimes guys don't fit in everybody's defense and style, you know. But they didn't. They thought they had. Well, they did think they had it. They did on paper, you know. But they don't tackle worth nothing. Like I said before, I don't know. When I looked at Dallas's defense, it's like, did y'all know that y'all supposed to cover somebody? Philadelphia, they couldn't even play flag football, let alone tackle football. So they just couldn't tackle nobody. They covered people. They just didn't tackle them. Dallas couldn't cover nothing. They couldn't cover their heads with a hat on their head in the wintertime. They still found a way to blow off. I don't know what that was. I mean, that was just embarrassing. I think Nick Sirianni and Mike McCarthy should both be let go, personally. Because I think that McCarthy's an old turkey and Nick is a young turkey. McCarthy had Brett Favre and Rodgers, had 7 MVPs, and only had 1 Super Bowl to show for it. I know it's tough to get there, but he had the same thing I'm seeing with Dallas. Just doesn't finish. He's basically Martin Schottenheimer, but with a ring. There's guys that were great to a point, but they didn't finish. So it's amazing he even got the ring. I'm calling him out on that, so I'm not impressed though. But yeah, they keep pushing this agenda, and they keep coming up short. Ezekiel Elliott, let him go, and that probably was too long, but that was it. But yeah, I'm gonna address that about Buffalo, but they never did get a replacement because Tony Pollard was not that dude. I like Tony. He ain't Tony Dorsett, so he can run quick pass, but he ain't that dude. So you got to get a pound back there. They need some meat back there. Yeah, he got to win. I think McDermott has got to win because, to me, his coaching job should be on the line. To me, I already did a video where I said him, Harbaugh, and Shanahan, those 3 coaches are on the hot seat this weekend because McDermott has got to do something in Buffalo. He can't keep getting this close and not doing it. Harbaugh, because of Lamar and him, you're going to find out with how far you go. You got to make that happen. And then when I look at Shanahan and Frisco, well, how many chances you going to keep being the best team in the NFC that you don't finish it up? So that's how I looked at it. I did a video about that. Yeah, Josh Allen needs to redeem himself. Big picture. Keep turnovers down. Come up. These 2. I think the Trey Lance thing, because of the mobility, if he turns into something. But the problem I seen with Trey Lance is sometimes I saw a highlight where he missed the read over the middle, and he has a tendency to try to strong arm passes and doesn't have a quite touch. His athleticism is beastie. He could definitely hang with Justin Fields as far as running and scrambling, but his quarterback moxie in terms of like certain things, he got some work to do. So I'm not sold on that. Derrick Henry has gotten beat up so much that I don't know what's in the tank. I don't know what's in the tank. Because does he have, they didn't go after Dalvin Cook. Buffalo's got James Cook. I'm very happy about that. But I don't know if Derrick Henry could really help them out at this stage. I don't know. Because Dak runs kind of heavy. And I don't know if they want that in a running back. I think they wanted something lighter. So I don't know. I don't think they would mess with him now. He's got a lot of miles on him. But knowing what you just said about how they like aging stars and stuff, they probably would go after him. But it's a different era too. Those kind of backs, Tennessee's hanging on to something that, because they don't have much at quarterback, let's be realistic. Ryan Tannehill makes Dak Prescott look like Warren Moon, okay? So that's not exactly, so. But, and I don't understand. I'm sure they're going to give Trey a shot. But they got to be very strategic how they do it, But they have to make some kind of move that will, Yeah, but those guys were long in the tooth when they got them. They got them way too late. And see, that's another thing that's hurt Dallas. You nailed it in the head earlier what you said. Bad draft picks and getting old guys who don't really fit your situation no more. You got to get people that are relevant to what you're trying to put down, And what they need, if there's somebody like Debo or McCaffrey, would be scary for Dallas, And a quarterback who could pick up quick reads and subtly. The problem I see with Dallas is they don't do screen passes, everything, and they don't even use their receivers the right way. Galloway should be bad. Now, him being the best receiver is crazy. That was crazy talk. Top 5 or so, kind of like by default. But I don't even like the way they utilize their. I don't even like the way they utilize their receivers. I think they could be real dangerous, and they just a step off. So when they got Bledsoe, he was long in the tooth, and so was Eddie George. Like I said, they about if they were going to be interested in a Derrick Henry, that's about 3 years past the pull date. They should have got him about 2 or 3 years ago. It's too late now. So, but Jerry Jones, he just slow with the draw. He's slow with the draw. And now you do got to draft. Do you go younger? But see, the problem he runs into is if he goes younger, he may not can win. He might not live the full capacity to see this thing come to fruition because it's been 30 years almost since they last went. So it might not happen again. And I ain't good Britons if it don't. He had more than enough. He done quite well for himself. He was arrogant enough back then, be arrogant enough to see if he can make a string. There ain't no Herschel Walker out there to dangle. And to land a Troy Aikman, to land a Michael Irvin, to land Emmitt Smith, to get a Deion Sanders or Charles Haley, good luck. Them days ain't coming, Or Nate Newton and some of that offensive linemen. So different type of owners, different owners. Steinbrenner went through the 80s, spent a lot of money. The Yankees underachieved. So he went to the farm. Jeter came along, was a product, Rivera product. Then you went and got a guy like a Paul O'Neill. Bernie Williams came to the system. You started to mesh personalities with chemistry, and that's how they were able to be successful. If they don't do it like that, they don't be a dynasty. So that's what the smart ones do. Sometimes you have to be willing to say, hey, that's what's messing with the Dodgers right now. They got all these guys, but they not working. They done great with the farm and what they've gotten, but they just don't work. So, you got to know how to mix and match. It really takes a combo. But Steinbrenner was, yeah. Well, Steinbrenner, because he went, where did I go back in the 80s when I had to talk about Steve Kemps and the Ed Whitsons and some of these guys who were good in other places, but they came to the Yankees, either got hurt or the Yankees just weren't that good. They weren't that good. Ricky came over and did Ricky Henderson did good, but they had a lot of bust then. They had a lot of bust. And sometimes you're going through the droughts. It's like the Yankees are right now. It didn't work. So now they're going after Juan Soto, and they got Garrett Cole, but Gene Carl Stanton didn't work. Yep. Yep. And don't forget Andy Pettit, too. I mean, everybody was a good fit. They had good fits. So you have to know how to be smart with that. But Jerry Jones, his arrogance, I don't feel sorry for him at all. Man said he get 49 the guys like a coach like Jimmy Johnson. So you see what happened. And since Barry Switzer was there, they haven't been really relevant. Jason Garrett did better than Mike McCarthy's done, if you think about it. They did get to a second round. I mean, they got robbed out that one catch by Dez Bryant. They did get Tony Romo, actually. Yeah, but I'm not big on Robinson Cano. I mean, even though I know about the steroid thing, I'm not holding it against him. But when his behind went to Seattle, he wasn't quite the dude that the Yankees had, and they went back to the Mets. So Robinson Cano is one of those cats that could have been maybe like a Robbie Alomar. You thought he had a chance because he had some pop to him, but he turned into a broke. So I don't really pay him a lot of mind. I don't. He had a chance, but I know what you mean, though. But that was a little bit later, though. That was past when the Yankees were really, the big era. And again, even when they brought somebody like David Conover or Strawberry or Dwight Gooden or David Wales, or even when they got Clemens later, it wasn't like it was bought and paid for because it was the right balance of veterans. Even Canseco fit with the Yankees when he played. So, but Steinbrenner had Brian Cashman. They had a good balance. There's no balance. What's going on? Favorite Yankees teams all time? Well, 77, 78. Then you'd say 96, 01, and 98. There you go. So 77, 78, 96, 98, 00. Mm-hmm. I had to think there for a moment. I appreciate you asking me, but I had to think there for a moment because, yeah, I like the questions you asked too because I have to be thinking about it too. So appreciate that. Yeah, those Yankees teams in the 70s with Reggie and them guys were incredible. It didn't break my heart. I was disappointed. I thought that, in all honesty, yeah, the way to lose it to the broken bat pop-up hit, but we kind of stole that scene because really Seattle should have been in that series. They got robbed because of 9-1-1, and they were couldn't make the case. That was a robbery for them. I can't say it as a Yankee fan. I mean, it was sad to lose Game 7 because Revere never loses, but I didn't think of it that being the time that Kurt Schilling was going to be our arch nemesis, and with that whole thing. But yeah, they did. They did. That's why it was tough to lose, but I think that we were necessarily the best team. I don't know if we were better than Seattle that year. I don't know. I almost feel for Seattle in that year because we were the best team in the American League. We caught hot at the right time, but we were there, But Arizona, that's the thing about baseball, which I like. Baseball's got that over the NFL. Even though the NFL has parity, they got that over the NFL parity, and they got that over NBA for sure. Anybody can get hot and catch fire. So, yeah. So I don't have no problem with that. Yeah, but they made it for it this year. Yeah, I did for Claude Washington because I thought Washington did a good job. Not Claude, Ron Washington, brother that was the manager there. Felt bad for him. And baseball is a very cold situation. But they did come back past year one. Bruce Bochy got the chips. But yeah, but they've been knocking at the door. And they got a nice young squad. They got a chance to go back again. Excuse me. They got a chance to go back again. I like their pitching. I like their hitting. Um, they got a nice squad. Once they figured out how to beat Houston, because Houston is the best team in baseball, especially in the American League, the last, you know. So for what Texas did was quite impressive, very impressive. So yeah, definitely like the Rangers. But yeah, you lose some baseball. And the thing about it is, at least the good thing is that it came back a decade later, and a little bit of a decade, and got the ring last year. Because sometimes teams, it may take like 50, 80 years before you see something like that again. So. Mm-hmm. So much respect to him. Definitely. Thing about it is a lot of people forget about those World Series because unless you're a diehard baseball fan, you tend to forget about them. But but they did do good for themselves. I mean, they've gone a long time without being a threat. Uh, you know, so it was good that they got to the show. But they finished the deal this year, so yeah. Well, I haven't really figured out what the Heat really did because I have to look at it. I know Pascal going to the Pacers. Um, Let me see something real quick, and then I can answer that better if I miss something because um, Pascal, um, I think the guy that hurt my feelings lately has been DeJounte Murray, and I tell you, the team's gonna definitely somebody gonna try to make a bid for him. Murray is good for Atlanta. I mean, he's more clutch than Trae Young is. Um, you know, Scary Terry Rozier is probably one of the names that I'll keep an eye on. Well, happy birthday to you, brother. It's coming up real soon. So happy birthday to you. Yeah, it's cold. Definitely East Coast. Wishing you a happy birthday and all thoughts and prayers with you. I know everybody wants to talk about Zach LaVine. I have to look at some of these names where I'm really thinking about, but DeJounte Murray, Murray is the one though. Murray is the one. Him and Scary Terry. And then Marcus and yeah, I forgot you're a Lakers fan. Um, Caruso, if you play better defense. If you had the squad you had a few years ago, Clarkson off the bench, I'd have to make that work. I'd have to say you have to get rid of LeBron, and you'd have to get rid of uh, Austin, and you'd have to get rid of Reddish. You'd have to make some moves. But you have to have a different style to bring Caruso and Clarkson back. No. The Heat are in a limbo because they need an offensive scorer, purity. But the problem is that Tyler Hero's actually been balling lately. That's not going to happen. Duncan Robinson. So it's kind of like, what do you nudge? As a Heat fan, we need a superstar kind of player. We don't have that dude that we could climb on the shoulders. Now, granted, I'm going to say it like this. This ain't no fan talk either. So if anyone says you fanboy, no. We're the scariest team that nobody wants to face in the East. We just don't have what it takes to win the chip. We don't have that guy. That's the only thing that's hurting the Heat. Like, if it's about getting to the Eastern Conference Finals or getting to the finals, we going to get there. We're going to find a way. But we don't have that dude that you're scared of to see the deal. Because Jimmy Butler and Bam combined ain't quite that dude. But we can be a problem. We could beat anybody in the East. Any of them can be had. We just don't have that dude. And that's what's hurting the Heat. That's what Pat Riley can't land that big fish. That's the problem. Yeah, I like Siakam. I'm surprised Golden State didn't go for him. You know, I like Pascal. I think he's a good second, third option. Yeah, you have to get rid of Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and probably somebody else, but Sock would be scary. He would be but he ain't quite the dude they need. Like, he's a strong second, third option. High. Because I've seen him get down. And I'm a firm believer that if Kawhi Leonard had kept his behind in Toronto, they probably would have won another ring. Definitely would have gotten to another finals. Because that's a 2 finals team with that kind of time. But he ain't the top tier dude. He can look like it, and he'll definitely be a strong second, third option. And I like Pascal, but you need somebody that's better than him. Then he looks like a freak. But the Pacers can score, and if they can play some defense, they could be a bit of a problem because they already done beat Milwaukee's behind left and right. Yeah, but the only problem is that Toronto always drafts great players, but they don't, they got the one ring and bless their soul, but even Kawhi got out of there. And the Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady experiment didn't last long enough. They've had some guys. Fred VanVleet is good. Lowry got out of there too. So it's not like they haven't had, and DeRozan, they had some guys. They just don't never keep them long enough. They get good picks. They get pieces. Just the cats don't stay in Toronto like that. That's all. So that's what knocks them. Nick Nurse can coach. You see what's happening with Philly right now. So I'm sure they'll do good with their draft picks. But I'm not, that's going to be a ways away. Nobody's sweating at the Raptors. Problem with trading him is he's kind of like I always looked at him as like a broke Kevin Durant, like a broke. But what do you get in return? And see, the problem they run into is like, is their guards going to be an upgrade? You got to get some upgrades. If you trade a Brandon Ingram, you got to get some up guards. You can't, again, the corniness of trading Rudy Gobert and giving up all those picks. You get rid of Brandon Ingram, you got to come back with like a half a bucket meal. And I don't think we're going to do that. Actually, I'm going to tell you a story. I know his cousin because I got a buddy of mine named Ingram. He's a better player than Andrew Wiggins, though. Because I will say this about Brandon. He will put the ball on the floor and actually get down. Wiggins had that outer body in the final, and he just... he's one of those guys, he could have been a steal for Golden State. I mean, the kind of guy that you'd have been like, oh, wow. Because the way they had stuff set up in Dub Nation with the second team with him, Poole, cat they traded Detroit, the center. Those cats just didn't flourish. That's all. Now, Peyton Jr. flourished. GP3, he flourished, and but they got rid of all the poor. But Wiggins just didn't. I mean, he was supposed to be the buffer between Steph and Clay in the Durant role, even though he wasn't going to be there. But he had played defense. He could score. He just hasn't had his mind back on his game, and that's just a waste. That guy's a waste right there. Be better all he want to be. He left Denver. And he left Denver and went to New York, and he went and chased spotlight and limelight when he had his best situation in Denver. I tell you like this, he kept his butt with the Nuggets. He would have been honorable mention because he was a great talent there. He played. George Karl was the best coach Carmelo Anthony ever had. He didn't thrive under D'Antoni. Everybody else does. and that went to Jeremy Lin. Then he became a spot, a run for when he should have been a run for cover type of player. He was too late in his career. Run for cover. What I mean is he should have jumped to a Chicago or Memphis or teams who could have used him 2011, 2012, gone to Miami. So a rent a guy, people forgot about how great he was because he didn't jump on. Jokic is number 15. Jokic is legendary. He did everything Carmelo Anthony never was going to do. He won all. He may be more athletic than, and that's debatable because Jokic is a freak of athlete, but he didn't finish nothing. No one is going to remember a guy who's a woulda, coulda, shoulda to a guy who actually did. And I would debate that with anybody. Yeah, Carmelo was like a precursor to Kevin Durant, but he didn't finish up nothing. Jokic done the thing. Multiple league MVPs, finals MVP, got a chip. What else you want? What else you want? They beat Boston last night when no one else could go to Boston and win. So tell me, you saw that shot he hit against Golden State, beat them at the buzzer. Steph Curry's mouthpiece is still out there somewhere in the stadium. They can't find it. Come on now. So Melo, because that's how he left them hanging. He left them hanging. He went to New York. So cry about it later. That's what happened. Jokic then came along and filled that jersey up so nicely, you almost forget about Carmelo. That's how you know you have to be special. Yeah, he left Toronto badly, and it was sadly. He'll always be Air Canada to me, though. I mean, my Vince moments 24 years ago, I'll never forget. 99 through about 02, he was must-see TV. He was in that argument. He was that dude. And I usually don't agree with Gilbert Arenas, but I think Vince Carter had to have been lazy because I can't think of another reason why, even though he's a first ballot Hall of Fame and all this stuff, it just seems like a guy that just got a big old eye, like a big incomplete. Because that guy had it. Oh. Once he got the three-point shot and his hang game, the best dunker I've ever seen in my life, I take him over Neat, Dr. J, Jordan, David Thompson. And you can make the case at top 3 to 5 in-game dunker too, because them facials. I mean, he just was something else, but he kind of was like a guy who came back to being Clark Kent and was kind of corny and just didn't put enough into his game because, yeah, and sometimes I think about Penny, and I think some numbers need to be retired. I think some things need to be changed. I think Drew Pearson should have had his 88 retired. Definitely Michael Irvin. I don't understand why some of those things weren't done. I don't get it. Some of those things I don't get. So I kind of question some of them things. So yeah, some of them I do. Yeah. They definitely leave a question mark with me. But I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. It's just like number 33 in Dallas too. Just Tony Dorsett should be retired. No one should ever wear O.J. Simpson's number in Buffalo. They did give it out to another cat named Simpson. There's just certain things that you just assume that they shouldn't be touched, especially when the guys have left an immortal, indelible mark. There's no way they should be. Like Steve Largent in Seattle, no one else should wear that number. So that's how I look at it. Mm-hmm. Harden. KJ was bad, but Harden could score like a freak. I mean, come on, this guy he had people thinking that he belonged in the same sentence with Jordan, Kobe, and Dwayne Wade. It wasn't that long ago. I had a buddy of mine was all my KJ dunked on Hakeem, and KJ was underrated. He should be a Hall of Famer. But no one's gonna ever tell you that Kevin Johnson belongs in the same sense with Magic, Steph, Isaiah, Oscar Robinson. Heck, someone will take CP3 over him. I'd take KJ over him, but he doesn't belong with Isaiah, you know. Well, Harden was a better, he ran his team, like it ran through him. KJ could score and was athletic and bad, but Harden was putting up some crazy numbers. Harden was like, you know, he was more Euro stepping before it became hardly fashionable. And he was the only guy who, the way he could score, could make you think that he could hang with Steph Curry, you know, because he was a scoring machine. So in the regular season, he was like you know, stat pattern, but you see how it didn't turn out. But if I got, you know, I don't mind when you ask me prime on prime, so feel free to keep asking those questions, but I got to give it to Harden in that one. I got to give it to him because he had people thinking he was going to be there with Jordan, Wade, and Kobe. And there was actually debate of who he was going to knock out because that's how his scoring was threatening. He was going after Jordan and Kobe for his scoring as amount of points. And he put the pressure on you. So that's how I looked at it. Charles Barkley or Karl Malone, prime. I got to say, I like Barkley better, but I got to say Karl Malone because Karl, again, then once that fadeaway came in, you couldn't stop it. You couldn't stop it. And Barkley's prime, to me, was actually his late Sixers era, early Suns era. To me, you know, Karl Malone is underrated. I mean, that fadeaway he did, he really was bringing it, you know. But Barkley was bad. I mean, you know, it depends. Again, he had big moments in Phoenix, but I don't think it was his peak or his prime. He'll be the first to tell you that too. Elgin Baylor. I mean, that's not even hard for me because EB could score. He was more rounded, and he put more things together. I love Nick's acrobatic game. I thought Nick was incredible. You know, Nick was something else, but Elgin Baylor was on another level. That was another level. It's you take consideration, and you see, I'm one of them few people. It's old school, and you can call it what you want, but guys didn't have a 3-point line. They didn't have the luxury of zones where cats put hands on you. They was actually calling trap. There's things he was doing. Elgin Baylor was ahead of the curve, and for me, he's got Nick beat, and I love Nick. Nick's probably my second favorite dunker ever, or right there with Vince Carter. And Nick was incredible, but Nick didn't have the kind of visual vision that Elgin Baylor had. I'm gonna call it like I see it, and again, I'm never gonna hardly. There are some exceptions, but there's certain guys that their footwork and their dexterity and their talent, they're gonna win, and that's not easy to say. Too many people are gonna beat Dominique Wilkins, but Elgin Baylor was a freak. I mean, he had skills. And he also earned the respect of the big old Oscar Robinson. So that's all you need to know right there, too. Because Oscar Robinson challenged championship. Oh, that's a lot of them. I mean, come on now. Ain't that all the superstars? All of them. I mean, everybody wants me to say LeBron because he cried about everything. Jordan cried. They changed the rules with the Pistons. I mean, you take it what you want. Magic cried because Magic wanted certain things a certain way. I wouldn't say Bird cried much. Barkley cried a bit. You know, most of the cats that I consider crybaby. He cried, but he didn't cry for cause. The thing is that he gave you a soft, doughy-eyed look, but I never felt he was crying. I never got wimp out of him. I love Duncan. I'm one of the few people, I put him top 5 ever. He's my, you know how I feel about Duncan. I always said Shaq aside, he was the best player in the early O's to me. And I can make the case he even had him beat because I thought the world of Duncan. You ain't going to see another guy come along like that. He was a silent assassin. He was what Allen Iverson tried to say about Steph. He was a real, they said the babyface silent, but this was a silent assassin. Because them numbers will fool you how he just rolled you. He'd be soft on you, but then he come back the next day and bust your behind. He made guys look good one day, like a Calvin Booth or James Jones. Some guys would have one out of body against him. And I'll be if that guy didn't come back the next day and light your butt up. Yeah. Well, he did what you got away with. I mean, Stockton was dirtier than Karl Malone because Stockton would pull your fingers back. And so did Kurt Heinrich with the Bulls. All those cats do dirty tactics. It's just that what can they get away with the refs calling them? They throw elbows, they hit you. It was different ball game back then. You know, you did everything you could do. He defended enough where he got rebounds. I'm not going to say Karl Malone necessarily stopped you going up. He wasn't like Duncan. Duncan was a better defender, but Karl got a lot of boards. And plus the fact that he got out and ran and was so conditioned and moved, he looked like he looked even more scared than he was. And he just worked he made himself into a better player. That's the thing. That's why he's got Barkley beat. Barkley was more exciting to watch, but Karl Malone worked at it. And when people always come about Shaq now, they always use Shaq as like underachieved. No. Charles Barkley is the one that underachieved, if you must know, because he had the skill set to be a guy that should have been in the top 12, 13 arguments. We should be talking about him like that. Yeah, because Reggie couldn't really guard nobody. I mean, Jordan basically called him a girl. You know, he said he guarded like a chick, but he would grab a whole lot of jerseys. That's what they used to allow back then. So can you imagine these guys playing today? Guys, today, when people always talk about all the superstars, they'd average 30-something. A lot of these other guys would average a lot of points too. Reggie Miller played the day he'd be pushing 30 points himself. You know, I mean, you played the day, everybody would be scoring like crazy because, you know, they did that back then. I remember when Bobby Jackson, they grabbed Kobe's jersey, 2002, Western Conference Finals. And nobody said nothing. Yeah, Bruce Bowen was one of the best at it because he'd actually put his feet and get in your way when you go to shoot. But everybody had to respect because that's what he got. The bow tie, bean pie, Muslim type brother, Bruce Bowen. Defense was like, he was like a proper gentleman, but he always kind of, you know, did enough to nudge you. Different day and time, though. Different day and time. You can't even compare the two. It's not even fair. Different era. Way different era. So, yeah, that was real common low post. So a guy he's going to like put his butt back you up and then he falls. That was a lost art too. That was a lost art. You couldn't do that to Shaq, but you could do that to a lot of other centers. Yeah. That's the era of defense that's lost. You're calling all the stuff that, and much respect, I'll give a shout out to Two Raw that he be tackling on too, and other cats too, talking about basketball that I respect on the YouTube streets, because we talk about that era where you would do certain things and they were rules and people were knowing about it. Nowadays, that's a lost art because the guys now want everything to be face front central and zone it up, trying to set you up like you're playing chess, but it's actually like checkers because guys still jumping all over people. It ain't no chess match. Even that so-called fence chess match against Giannis died away. What happened to the wall against Giannis? He still be bounty hunting, bungee jumping, and do all that. At that time, but even that worked against you because Shaq made his free throws. And you end up getting in foul trouble. And then eventually, if you get on the 2-minute mark, other people can take the shots. And if he makes shots, you're in trouble. Problem was that worked back then. It wouldn't work today because, first of all, you don't have a Shaq today. Giannis can get fouled, but he may have a game, he may 8, he may miss 12. Saw what happened when he played the Heat. He missed all them free throws and Miami beat that butt. hack and Shack don't work no more because you don't have anyone who's dominant that slows the game down. Everybody's playing at such a pace that now even scrub teams, you saw what the Nets did to the Lakers last night, put 130 up on them. They don't have a 130-point type of team, but that's what happens in this league now. Play no defense, everybody can score because he never been confident in his shot. Shaq's a better late game free throw shooter than LeBron is. Let that sink in. Shaq will fall and make them. LeBron don't want to have to take no free throws at the end. And I'm not trying to get into I'm not trying to say nothing because I'm tired of talking about LeBron. The Lakers suck. They are on the 500 team. They gave the Nets 130 points last night. That's the Nets. And I saw what Skip Bayless had the audacity to say that's without Ben Simmons. I was like, Ben Simmons on a milk carton somewhere. I said, but Mikal Bridges, I said, I'm looking at what the Nets got. How they putting up points? I said, did Vince Carter and Jason Kidd come back from the grave? Dr. Jacobs, who's up there playing offense for the Nets? So I'm laughing at that score last night. I'm like, come on now. Yeah, I remember that. He cursed out a lot. That's why they've covered him. And that's why it's so tough to watch most of the stuff he participates in, because you got to wonder if it's real or memorized. He cried last night, got that technical, and he missed the ball wide. He's gotten old. Yeah, well, they defended because, see, people want so bad. It's kind of like when people today come at me about Beyonce being on Michael Jackson's level or Taylor Swift being so great, and they desperate because they don't have nothing. They think because we're in a social media era that everything instantaneous, that you got the end all be all. You don't have it like that. I'm sorry you weren't born or come around to seeing what true greatness and what people did. LeBron is a great player for his era, but is he even? I don't have him over Steph Curry. They got the same amount of rings. Steph then won more with less. When you think about it, he won without Durant too, and he won 2 without Durant. Could have been a Finals MVP in one of them. You want to do music? Knock them out. Like sports, I'm going to knock this out. That ain't no brainer. Whitney in a blowout. Where do I start? She had a better voice. She had better songs. When you can go from Greatest Love of All to I Always Love You and do a 40-second acapella. When has Beyonce ever done an acapella like that? Who has? Whitney, 80s, 90s. Beyonce ain't got nothing to see in that. She's strong on stage. I'll give you that. I didn't waste my time seeing the live concert thing, but on stage. But if you're talking rawness straight up, Whitney got her beat hands down. Whitney in her prime and her peak runs Beyonce back to another league. It's not even close because she had better songs. And like Quincy Jones always says, and I agree with him on that. I don't always agree with him on a lot. But one thing he said is true. It's always about the songs. Anybody comes at you and want to talk about music, you talking about Barry White or Luther? That's a good one. And you think you stomped me on that one, Ted. You think you got me because I love them both. But hey, if I got to pick, I'm going with Barry White. Barry White had better songs for me. Luther was a great cover artist. Loved his cover of House Is Not a Home. Loved Until You Come Back to Me, Superstar. But Barry White, with the orchestration, the arrangements, and the songs to go with it, he even knocked out Just the Way You Are. You won't listen to Billy Joel's quite the same. Barry was a beast. So give me Barry White. Barry White got him beat. Musical, even though Luther was funky with Marcus Miller and Nat Adderley Jr. And I'm not going to take nothing away from the team because they did do Jump to It for Aretha Franklin. And Luther had funk in him, and he could sing, and he one of the baddest singers ever. And I'll give you that vocally. But if you're talking about the whole enchilada, give me Barry White. Because Barry hit hard. And I'm going the whole enchilada with Whitney over Beyonce too. You know, Beyonce is so good. Oh, okay. That's a toughie, but let me see where can I start. Well, gotta put no Vaseline up in there. I love Cube. Cube was one of my favorite writers, artists of the '90s. Um, they're gonna kind of veer all over the place. So love the Crossroads with Bone Thugs. That was one of my favorites. Um, uh, So Many Tears, Tupac. That was my favorite Pac one. So Many Tears. Like that one from Pac, if I did. Elevators, Me and You, Outcast. And I love Biggie's Warning. Cream, Wu Tang. Never seen a man cry till I seen a man die. Scarface. So this is tough because I got a lot of them. I loved Ghetto Jam by the Domino. That was one of my cuts. Um, Damn, what else? By the time I get to Arizona, Public Enemy. Shut Them Down too by Public Enemy. Um, Party Up, DMX. God, what else did I like? Ooh. Uh, obviously, nothing but the G thing. Drain, Snoop, Gin and Juice, Snoop. Um, so on Dre, Easy diss track on Dre. Love that. Dollars and Cents, DJ Quick. Um, well, there's a lot. There's a lot. Natural Born Killers, Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. That was one of my cuts. Um, I'm like, like I said, there's quite a few that I like. I mean, God, I got. Mm. Like Back That Up. Back That Up was one of my cuts. Hot Boys. So there's quite a few. Quite a few. I mean, I know I'm going on, and I like Feel Me Flow, and I like Hip Hop Array by Naughty by Nature. So they had Naughty was underrated. They're one of my favorite acts in the '90s from hip hop because they had some cuts. UNITY with Latif, I like that a lot. Um, uh, Roughneck, AMC Light like that. So, well, okay, so they both starred Ice Cube. If I had to pick out the two, okay, it was a little bit different, but okay. I'm gonna say Boys in the Hood because the actors were better for me. I thought that Fishburne and Angela Bassett became like a real couple on the screen that I just loved. Um, I thought that I related to it a little bit more. I like Friday a lot. Friday's a classic in terms of hood, make you laugh, etc. But Boys in the Hood had me. Boys in the Hood, I felt it. I still be walking around talking about Ricky, no. You know, I'll do a Ricky moment. Um, I had memories of Friday. I liked it, but Boys in the Hood hit a little bit. Hit a little bit. You know, and I understand about the the whole thing with the two brothers because that's real. If you ever had a family member where you never measured up, it could be your brother, cousin, or your nothing's gonna be Roots for me. So before we even go on, Roots is the greatest TV miniseries drama ever. Mississippi Burning kind of whitewashed some things. I mean, it was good, but Roots was the first one was the truth. And it's the most powerful thing I still seen, which still resonates with me. So, I gotta always go with Roots. Yeah, Queen was good. That's good. Alex Haley had the pen. Definitely had the pen. But yeah, definitely had the pen. So yeah. Keep on. I'm on the roll today. You got me stomped. It's hard for me to just name five hits. But most of the songs I like in hip hop too, they go different coast to coast placement. I liked it at the time. I mean, I quoted, but I liked it kind of in a, folksy kind of way. But I don't really talk about Forrest Gump like that. But you know. Yeah. Still trying to check out this trade deadline stuff. I think the Knicks with OG was a big move too, by the way. Dan Lillard, Pascal. But I don't really know anybody that Daniel Gallinari came to the Pistons. That's funny. Gallinari, that's hilarious. That is funny. The guy that's scared Ben Simmons for life, that's hilarious. I'm just reading some of these things right now. I'm just trying to get, because I haven't really felt that there was nothing that I thought was a turning point. Patty Mills still playing? Wow. Okay, and Rudy Gay, Utah. Yeah. Now it's like way past the long tooth. Yeah, the Knicks did give up a lot. But RJ Barrett just didn't really quick kick in. That's all, you know. But I don't know what the Knicks got. See, the Knicks still don't have that dude. I like Tyrone Brunson. Brunson can go off, and he has moments. He plays hard, but I just think they missing something else. And same thing with Julius Randle. They just don't have the cat that I think is the cat in the bag. Sometimes teams just don't have it. They got the pieces in places, but they're missing something. So I'm not sold on it. But yeah, I just wanted to address that real quick. Yeah. Well, it don't really matter with the Knicks, no way, because they probably, at best, are probably like the fourth or maybe fifth. It don't even matter in the East. Jeff Green is going to always stay consistent because he doesn't really blow himself out. It's just that as long as he doesn't get exposed too much, he's okay. So if he can stay healthy, it's a good move. But, so, but Udoka's going to do a good job in Houston. They're already doing good. They might fool around and be almost a threat to a play-in tournament this year because they get them a piece there. Somebody who's in the 9th or 10th, 12th seed is going to be in trouble. They get a piece. It's a lot tougher this year. I think you got some real contenders. It ain't like last year. Everybody's all stacked up on each other. So somebody's going to get left out or two. Doesn't bother me, though. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, feel free. Give me some more primes and primes. But yeah, I'm not really much into Forrest Gump no more. Liked it more so at the time. Yeah, they did. I saw that last night, and some of the Celtic fans I know were saying that, of course, it have to be the Jokic go. Yeah. It was a very intense game. You could tell Boston wanted to put their best foot forth. I mean, you have to play great ball when you play against Jokic and Jamal Murray now. So you know what you're dealing with. I think that they got a chance to go back healthy and motivated. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about Boston was 20-0 at home. And this is not even the best Celtic team I've ever seen in my life. So before people even ask me, don't even ask me. Because when Bird, McHale, Parrish, and them was playing, it was hard to be Boston back then. And that was a better team than this Boston team. I'm not sold on the Celtics. I'm sorry. I know it's fashionable to slurp Jason Tatum and all that. I don't know. Oh, now that's a good question. And that might be one of your 5 best questions you've ever asked me in anything. Ooh. So you must have seen my video. Maybe you did. I talked about Spree. And I go back to 96, 97 Slam Magazine. Allen Iverson, yeah, he loved Michael Jordan, but that ain't what he said. He told somebody, he said, I trade all my game to him. I trade Jordan. I'd want to be like Spree. Spree was a freak. He was a freak. I mean, he was going at you, aggressive, could score, had a jumper, all that. For me, yes, Paul George will have the better career, but if I had to go with the prime, I'm going with Spree. Because if Paul George played like Spree well, he wouldn't get labeled as soft and kind of like uppity or snooty. Spree was a beast. And you're one of the few people who's actually, I appreciate you asking me that. I might make her do a video about that. I might. Spree moved me more. Paul George got numbers and he comes up, but Spree moved me more. Spree moved me more. Oh, you really on fire now. Oh, yeah, you burning it up real good. Oh, here you go. You're doing good. Look, I like Allen Houston more, but I gotta say D-Book. But Allen Houston was my favorite complimentary cat. He was he was a broke Scottie Pippen, but he was a great compliment to Latrell in New York. I liked Allen Houston a lot, and it was sad when he left Detroit. But I know why he left, because they weren't gonna win nothing. But Booker's got more overall skill set. Booker's got more of an overall better game. He's gonna score the vibe. He's gonna give you more. But you asked me who I prefer. I like Allen more, but I gotta give it to Book. Oh yeah, you think this is tough for me? You really think this is tough for me? I'm going with Dirk. Are you kidding? The German won me over because his dominant run against the Heat in losing and in defeat and winning. Kevin Garnett had to have 55 pieces around him. And as great as the talent he was, and I always said he was kind of like he was Peyton Manning to Tim Duncan's Tom Brady. He never, he could put up numbers, but I never felt that I got him, without like I just didn't, I wasn't scared of him. To me, that's one of the reasons why the Lakers got beat by the Pistons like they did in that finals in 04, because I think going through Garnett was like anticlimactic. He just Dirk made your butt work. And Dirk could do everything Garnett. He wasn't all around putting the assists and stuff, but he could do everything. Dirk got him beat. Give me Dirk. Dirk was clutch. Dirk was bad. Dirk was the closest thing to a foreign white version of Larry Bird, in my opinion. And I said a foreign white. Oh, this is a good one. Oh yeah, now you must have been knowing I can go deep with this. For me, I'm gonna have to go with Harper. And I like Mark Price a lot. Mark Price had a sweet jump shot, could take you, but Harp could get at you. Harp could get at you. Harper just, by the time like Ken and Nick, he had some injuries in certain situations he's had, but Harper could get at you. But Price was nice, though. Price was nice. Price was one of those guys, he got hurt and he got kind of slowed down. I can't say he was ever going to be like a John Stockton type, because he was actually a scoring shooter. It was just the way he played. But I liked Harper more. Harper moved me a bit more. So I got to give Harper the edge. But that's a good one, though, because a lot of people ain't going to never mention them two. and Price has been kind of forgotten in a bit. And his shelf wasn't his stock as big. Cleveland was picked to be the team of the '90s, but I liked Harper a bit more. Harper came up. Harper showed me a little bit, so I gotta give Harper the edge. But that's a great question. You're on fire now. You last one, two, well, three of them four. The Paul George spree was a good one. That was a great one. Allen Houston because of Cinnamon one. NBA offenses? You talking about teams or you talking about offenses? Showtime Lakers. That'll always be my favorite. Golden State. Love the way they ran offense. Phoenix's 0-0 run. Love that offense because those three come to mind. Oh yeah, okay. So Showtime Lakers, Golden State, the Dubs, the Steph Curry, played that era. Love that one. Phoenix with Nash, Amar. Love the way they ran offense. Those three come to mind. I would say the Sixers back in the '80s. I loved Dr. J. Mo Cheeks, Mose. They could run. I love their offense, and they don't get a lot to do with that, but they were bad. And I would probably say, before come to mind, I would say who would come in as my fifth favorite? I need one more, so give one more. Let me get one more in there. I'd have to say I like the way Birdman's offense was. They're very underrated. They were underrated. They ran good. My other teams, the honorable mentions, the Spurs with Dunk, especially when they were running the OOs. I thought they were good. Top 7 defensive teams all time. Well, this is easy. I think the Bad Boy Pistons, the Celtics, Bird, Parrish, McHale, all that. Because I like the way they play defense. I really did. I think they underrated. The Bulls defense, '90s, they could really defend really well. I want to say the Knicks defense they was tough in the early '90s. They was tough. I like the way they played defense. Miami Heat in the '90s, the defense was tough. That's 5 right there. I would say the Spurs defenses, because that's what they're specialized in. And the Pistons defense, the ones in the O's, I think the Spurs and them, they were the two of the best defender teams I saw about 15 years ago. Those two, 15 to 20 years ago, I'd say those two. Those Knicks back then, those Pistons and both Pistons era that was championship run. Both of them. So, yeah, that was more consistent than anything. Their defense was always what got them where they got. So feel free to throw some more at me. I like that question. I was there. Yeah, my offense is I can run the gamut. And actually, if I wanted to acknowledge the 72 Lakers, I could throw it in there as honorable mention when they won all those games in a row. That was a special offense. So yeah. So feel free to hit me up with somebody else. I ain't got no problem. Feel free. Yeah, I did a video about it and I was very upset with him because I thought it was a very tacky turkey move. And I do have respect for Haslam. I always said he was undisputed Miami Heat leader, and I always said that he was a strong brother. But taking a shot at Bill Russell, and Bill Russell, a lot of cats have done that, and they don't respect. See, Black history ain't the same as white history, and especially in sports. Cats don't have no appreciation for stuff. Because you don't never hear nobody white gonna say anything bad mouth about Babe Ruth or Ted Williams or something like that. They told them to put a patch on them, they wouldn't say nothing. Cats is running around, well, we got to acknowledge Bill Russell. A lot of them don't realize that Russell was a multitasker, Don't understand what he went through because their lives have been so blessed and so specialized that they'll never know what it's like to find human peace, certain things on their bedding and stuff. They can't imagine it. Go. I mean, I'm amazed that the NBA even acknowledges it because there was, yeah, I remember when he did. Talking about he didn't know about that was before his time. You wouldn't be where you are without that. You wouldn't be where you are without that. I know I'm going to have to turn the light on a little bit because I'm in the dark room now because it's the night that kind of went in. So I'm going to have to hit that up in just a little bit. But I still can be seen. Put this light bulb on. Yeah, there I go. Still alive and well. Just turn the light on. But anyway, no, they always doing that. But you see, they did that when mass medias took over sports. That's what you're dealing with. They did it on purpose to whitewash. They wanted to whitewash Black athletes who used to speak out. That's why you don't hear Earl of Pearl Monroe or Oscar Robinson or even Julius Erving get to talk about because they want everything to act like everything started in the 80s. And that's what they did in basketball. And then in baseball, they try to downplay to an extent Jackie Robinson. They never tell you about Larry Doby. Because they knew better. They knew better. Jeter came on late because I didn't know where he was going to be in because he had crossover and plus his, racial identity. But he was, he had to walk a fine line. But they knew better than that because people going to call him out because New York is too bold and you can't really fake the funk with that. You can't fake the funk with that. They don't. There's some places they don't mind if you shuffle like in Boston. You don't get to shuffle in New York like that. Not then you didn't because it was very racial. Billy Martin was very racial. Thurman Munson was very racial. A lot of them were very racial. White boys were very racial. So you didn't have the luxury of acting like you was incognito. You didn't have the luxury of acting like you didn't know what your situation was like. Your complexion was always front and center. So, Rivera, though, he shuffles, though. He's all Trumpy and he be shuffling. Well, Jeter, no, because the thing about Jeter is even though his racial identity, he still identifies as a light-skinned brother, and he dated certain type of women, but he also played the corporate game real well. He was, he was kind of like the perfect mirage between, he was involved with Mariah Carey from him. He was the perfect blend between Mariah and Tiger. Successful, Big Apple, dominant, had a great career. Didn't rock the boat, and nothing really came up to them to, question his one drop or how many dropped. So that's one of the things that worked in his favor. Had he been with a lesser team, may have been a different ball game. So, talking about. So, but it all depends on what the player and situation and stuff. So, but I got respect for Jeter big time. He didn't shuffle. Plus, his daddy wasn't gonna let it. His father's up in them stands. They weren't gonna let it. So, excuse me. No, it doesn't never end well because if you shuffle, some people get tired of it. the funny thing about it is because of his complexion, that's one of the things that gave him a pass. Well, he was in a situation he was going to be able to date whoever he chose to date, but he was not a threatening brother. See, uh, Reggie Jackson dated white chicks, and he flaunted a Rolls Royce, and he was very in your face, but he came up big. He had the ego, so it was kind of like they had to kind of watch how they went about him. But Jeter was dating what we call high fluent white chicks, so it was a certain situation where they were like, well, he's not exactly going to corrupt him. It's not like they were going to look at. It wasn't like they were like he was going to be, like Master P or something, like he was a black threatening brother, or like he was a threat. So, you know, cracks me up though. Oh, let me hit the light switch. I'm getting too dark up in here. As long as I'm gonna be in here. I had to put that cap on. I had to put that cap on. So, yeah, because so many people be looking at you like you gonna corrupt the team, like you gonna Jack Johnson in this situation. You a scary brother. So, but Jeter was, he was pretty milk toasty for the most part. He was no threat. Just like A-Rod was no threat. So, them cats weren't like Daryl Strawberry where they had half the chicks in the dugout. But, pretty much. I ain't making that up. I don't make that up. I don't know. Every time other people give you broadcasts, I don't know what they say. I'm gonna tell you I'll tell you what I know. Don't you bring Mookie and Pookie back there. You may hurt our daughters. Don't break their back. And we don't want little Tyrone and Zyrone and Clyrone in there. Tell you what I know. I'm tell you what I know. Hey, I was around back then. I kid you not. I do not make this up. Yeah, I'll give you a good example. So the actress Peggy Lipton, and she and Quincy Jones to be married. And the story goes, the first time Quincy Jones was brought around her house, she said he was his producer and how known he was, but they didn't see him just as somehow they saw him. He had to deal with that. So, yeah, it's real. They don't guess who's coming, not coming. That's true. Something that I didn't even know until like the past year was about when the Jackson family lived in Encino, California. There was actually a petition to get them out the neighborhood. And I found that out about a year ago. So, you be assuming because people are successful and endeavors and they have this appeal that they don't, and I knew Michael Jackson dealt with Ray Boy, but you just don't think that when they got to there, that at that point, that was still something that people were actually particular. But that's what's up. So, yeah, they don't want Mookie and Bobo coming out. Actually, I still get some people get upset with me because they think I'm too. When I talk about race, it's too strong. I said, no, I don't talk about strong enough. You don't realize how racist places be because you have allowed stuff to be considered so normalized that you accept it. That's the sad reality. So I call them out on it. So I am not with that. So yeah. And that's a reality. So some people ain't cool with it. So, or the thing is that they when they want to know about identity, and that's the thing that we deal with. Is like, what do you identify with? So it's just what you deal with. That's the reality. You know, in a cold-blooded country and a world that is racially stuck with what they believe in. That's where we're at. That's where we've been in. So cold realness of it all. Yep. Oh yeah, that's nothing new. It's like with Colin Kaepernick's mom. She's like, what you protesting for? You know. See, they they see that Afro puff on your head stands out like cream of wheat, but then they still got the nerve to act like they're gonna whitewash you otherwise fundamentally. And don't really understand, without go because it's not taught in school. And it's not taught. It's kind of like when you see Nikki Haley coming out saying America is not a racist country, and um, but yet she said she admits she went through racism, and yet she's changed her name, and her name is Americanized. And you want to look up Nikki Haley's real name? That's the American name, oh darling Nikki, looking like the SUV chick, Law and Order chick, cracking me up, trying to act like she white. And just like Vivek too. Yeah, it don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean nothing. But see, black men get killed, accountable, get called out all kinds of names for having white, and saying that you can't. The people got the nerve to say you can't be pro-black. You pro-black because you're gonna be pro-white if you have Kid Rock's pro-white. Tell me he ain't. Tell me that Thomas Jefferson wasn't pro-white. I can go on. Procreating who they deal with is one thing. What they feel in their heart and soul is another. Ain't nothing changed with that. Because you're always your uniform no matter what. I tell that all the time. Care who you with. Your uniform don't change. Because believe me, this country ain't gonna never let you forget which side of the fence you on. So that's the reality. That's the cold reality. Yeah. And I did a video about Daniel Penny, Mr. Ice, Mr. Stay Soft Fro Curl, thinking he's Dexter like he's doing vigilante, which he wasn't. And Kid Rock wonders why people look at him sideways because you keep always trying to target stuff that is not. You wouldn't donate it to a black man that had the fiend off a white dude. Where's Kid Rock's donation to George Floyd's foundation? I'm waiting. So, you know. Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. You can listen to who you like, but I don't know none of these entertainers and white artists. I like a lot of white artists, but I can't sit here and tell you that they cool with brothers. That don't mean that they necessarily cool with brothers. Like Al Di Meola is one of my favorite guitar players ever, but he said some real ignorant stuff about rappers. Some he said it was real ignorant, and I actually wrote him back on his site about it. But I loved him in return for as a guitar player, and he was great with Chick Corea and Stanley Clarke and Lenny White. But as a person, but see, you're gonna find that out. You're gonna find, or they vote for somebody, or there's something. So, you know, Kid Rock had a chance to actually have something there musically once upon a time, because he could do a dabble a little bit. But I just think he's kind of corny as a sucker. I've never been big in Eminem, but I understand his impact. And like I said, he can spit. He can definitely diss people. So can't say that he's. I won't ever say he sucks. But what I run into, the problems I run into is like when I got some certain segments of brother and people get mad because I don't have Eminem as one of my 10 favorite rappers, and they think I'm being they think I'm discriminating. They think I'm fair. And I said I'm just don't feel him like that. He's catchy for what he do, and he's good. And I will say this: he gave white rappers credibility and weight, but I just don't feel him like that. I think most of the stuff, his subject matter don't move me. And when he went to go dissing people, I said, why don't he go dissing Nas? I would have loved that. So that's all I said there. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. But I tell anybody, listen to who you like who you like, but don't ever get seduced that these people like what you think they are. When you look at Kiss, the band, you think that they all, and they were wild and freaky, but they had political aspirations. Gene Simmons let some stuff be known. So they said some stuff. So nice people are what they are. So yeah. Part of course with the business. Yeah, and I'll tell you something, Steven Tyler's half black too, but it's real buried though. He's lighter than Lenny Kravitz, and you don't really notice it because of his hair and his styling, but it's in there though. John Mellencamp has got some Negro in him too. It's low key. It's kind of like the Carly Simon black. It's there, but it's kind of like because of the texture and how they assimilated. I did like Aerosmith before they got so cliche. Who still gets his wake up call? Which one? Not really, not fully. I mean, he got over in such a way that we know about the young girl and the adoption, and we know that he got over. He got over. And he got played like he's pretty much white anyway, so it's not like it's really showing. So it's not like it's worked against him. He did do Idol, but their track record was strong. I mean, it came back. I mean, thanks to Run DMC, and he had they toured, they made money, the whole nine. The Idol thing was just to kind of give him some chicness, which it did for an extent. You know, he was cool, too cool for school. You know, but he definitely played the game. He definitely played the game. And he doesn't look threatening enough, so that's why he got over. You know, so so production or prediction? Well, most people are going to think it's Baltimore Frisco because that's what logical should say. I would love it. My Super Bowl prediction to be Buffalo and Frisco, or yeah, I think the 49ers are the best team in the NFC. It's but if Frisco don't make it, and it's Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Detroit, that'll be a crazy banana Super Bowl if that's the case. AFC playing Kansas City is the end all be all. That's the highest mountain. Then you got Baltimore. I don't think Houston's gonna beat, but I would love to see the Bills get there. But I don't know. You could. You actually could because if you beat Frisco, I'll like your chances against Detroit or Tampa Bay. Yeah, I do. I think Detroit is a little bit over their head. They played out about it. They barely beat the Rams. They could have lost that game. They were very fortunate that, like I said, Sean McVay didn't figure out how to get a game-winning field goal or something. And I'm about Faker Mayfield. I don't hide when my team loses. I don't hide. I ain't that one. I'll be sulky. I'll be mad, and I'll say a lot of stuff. I ain't gonna hide because I haven't been excited about the Bills this year. They're doing they're in the second round. They won a division, but they made it a lot tougher than it need to be. Should have never came to all that mess. Shouldn't have been no 6-6. Shouldn't have been struggling. Shouldn't have been so mediocre. So I'm not impressed. It would take a Super Bowl or a win before I'll say, okay, we had a good season. Anything less than that, I'm disappointed. If we lose this game, I'm disappointed. Lose next week, I'm disappointed. Go to Super Bowl and lose, I say, okay, they came close. They got something. If they win, I'll feel some redemption. Anything less than a Super Bowl, at least appearance this year, I'm not getting no love. So I'm not gonna hide. But at the same time, I didn't have no expectations this year either. None. 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 Because they disappointed me a lot. They lost some tacky turkey games. Just the way the season started with the Jets, I was like, oh boy. Now, I disagree. But Lamar's legacy will be on the line. Harbaugh got the ring. Harbaugh, will he be like Mike McCarthy? That's when he starts to look suspect. Because the more successful Lamar Jackson's regular season is, and they don't do anything in the postseason, then that's when he starts to become like the meathead. He's not on the line. Sean McDermott's on the line. To me, I think Kyle Shanahan's job should. If we want to talk about on the line, how many more years is Frisco gonna keep being the best team that don't go to Super Bowl or don't win? And how many quarterbacks it take with all that offense, all that defense it got? That's who should. I already did a video about that. Sean McDermott, Shanahan, and then Harbaugh, to me, are the three coaches on the most at risk. But I think them two got him beat because Harbaugh got the ring. Sean McDermott had that flag drop in the whole season for Buffalo, but they almost didn't make the playoffs. And then you think about Shanahan. So I think them two got him beat. Only if you got the right quarterback and your defense comes to play. Now, obviously, with DJ Metcalf and what they got on offensive display, yes, but if their defense plays that tacky and they're inconsistent and they're stuck with Geno Smith and they don't do nothing and they stuck with Rule, it could be a long season. That's why they're so average. I just think that's what they're working against. So underrated coaching job in the NFL would be the Chargers. If you put that together, that's why you got to come with the right coach. I say Minnesota to an extent too, because they got something. Now that job, nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. You ain't got the right quarterback. You got rid of your best defensive player, and you kind of like settle with a lot of second, third tier situations. So I don't think people want the job. I don't see it for the Commanders. I don't see it. But I think Minnesota, Chargers. Hmm. I had to think about that. No, they said they're gonna keep him around. Nobody wants to coach the Jets, though. Not when you stuck with Aaron Rodgers and then you stuck with Zach Wilson. Defense is good. Belichick went to go talk with the Falcons. They need a quarterback, and they just need to have some direction. They're not that far off. They just don't have those two things, which is a lot of things. Have those two things, you might be a 11-win team. And in that putrid division, so. So yeah, Falcons get him a quarterback and can at least stay 500 to miss more than halfway point of the season. They got a chance. They're not that far off, but they got to get the right quarterback. Angela Ray stepped herself into the wrong timing. Her timing wasn't good. And she also was kind of like in one hand, there would be truth to it, but that's the way her timing was. All them Cuomo boys ain't nothing but body snatchers. I mean, his brother was snatching all the skirts when he was governor of New York. They made a deal with him. They didn't hold the pandemic deaths in the old folks' homes against him, so that was the trade off. That's why he bought himself. I mean, he's on the cover of Rolling Stone back in 2020, and they had that old Frankenstein up there. Him and Chris ain't nothing but a booty snatcher. Cuomo though, because uh, Chris looks TV ready, like they appearance sake, he's considered the pretty boy of the family. They don't touch him. He's on that Dan Abrams network. I watched him. It's a low budget. It's like the NNN. So you take the C off, it's just the NNN network. But it's on there. But he's considered the pretty boy, the golden boy. Now him and Don Lemon were unstoppable on CNN. They even had better ratings since those two. So he had that. They're not doing that. They're not gonna touch it. But also because Angela Ray doesn't have no kind of juice on CNN, no way. I can believe things she said, but I think she said some stuff that kind of was suspect and people kind of didn't really trust her. But I mean, everybody knows that the Cuomo boys will chase anything. Any woman walk by, they gonna chase them. That's why they behind the outside looking in now. So, but we know how he get down. And like I said before, if they gonna come snatch Chris Cuomo, then they gonna snatch Matt Lauer. A lot of them could get snatched up, but they ain't gonna do it. White boys got privilege. We already know. You already know. And Cuomo got fired and they humiliated him enough. They're not gonna add what they should. I've been said that. That's why the Knicks can't ever get a top tier free agent. People ain't forgot how he did Charles Oakley, dragging that man out like that, like a dog. Nobody forgot that. He's trash. And he's no different than Donald Sterling or that crazy Robert Urshay. And white was all be the same like that. Them white owners be doing what they want. And he be crying because nobody with a name. People talk about New York being the Mecca and all this, but nobody wants to come with him because he's a crazy white boy millionaire. Be making music and be trying to strum and hit on everything that moves and stay. Well, they don't really say you can't. Technically, you're not supposed to, but they don't say you can't. It's a privileged club. We already know. The only thing I will say about Jenny Buss is that she did bring it back to fruition to getting something done because her brothers were horrible as owners. So she did kind of get some stuff back, but she's a freak. She's a freak. And when she messing with Ryman and you messing with Phil Jackson and probably Kyle Kuzma and Lord knows whoever else, and you're Playboy Centerfold, I mean, you can't ever say that she tried to say that there was some booty snatchers that were owners. I said, well, you put yourself out there. So, and I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying, you know what you be doing. You a freak. So, but yeah, she's the only white female owner and she's out there in Cali too. Come on now. So, did what she wanted to do. Yeah, she married Jay Moore. He's like a fourth tier comedian, like a third, like a broke Bill Maher. One of them cringy white boys. He was in Jerry Maguire, corny. I never got the hype of him. And he was like a never was. He's like I call a U list talent. So WXYZ. So he's like in the U section on the talent level. She probably do got a brother on the low, might be, you know. But she gonna vicariously get this cat that kind of wants something to make him seem cooler. Cause I know he said something foul. J. Mar did about something. I can't remember what it was. I looked at him sideways, but you know how it is. So didn't pay it much a lot of attention. He used to have women lined up all in the stands. Well, you know, they had a whole section with Playboy, so that wasn't far to look. That's how Magic they went and had them parties. You know, they rent out the Playboy mansion. He do that comb over with his purple hair and be macking, drinking, stacking, and macking. You know, he wanted Showtime, so that's what they did. He's one of the first owners I ever saw that was just blunt with his plan. At least Donald Sterling had the wife on the other side and the mistress near. This cat, he'd have like a whole section of them. He wasn't hiding nothing. So yeah, that's what's up. Believe it or not, just because he does the Gordon Greco and all that, if he did it, he kept his business kind of low key because him and his wife been there for a long time. And I never heard a lot of people air Riley out. Never really did. He pretty much stayed low key with his business. I think because he's kind of self indulgent, he kind of likes taking care of himself and what he is about stuff. I don't think he would give himself enough time. And if he did, it was probably like one that kind of slid through. But Riley ain't never put himself in no kind of situation. I never heard a lot about his business like that. Obviously, you heard that about Phil Jackson, but I never heard it about Riley. Oh, yeah. Phil's a typical hippie dude. So, when you expect that, you know, not surprised. Got to New York, was up in Montana, had all that. So, that's kind of like what's up. I know like Bill Belichick was a player. Mm-hmm. Certain cats were certain ways. And NBA coaches, I can't really say because their business is pretty low key. You talking about his head coach? If we're talking X's and O's, Larry Brown, the blowout. If we're talking about finishing, yeah, he did, and the whole thing with Spo was crazy because they got divorced. And I don't know if you know the news, he just signed that 8-year extension with the Heat, and the ex-wife just missed out on the new bag. It's crazy. I did a video about it. It's crazy about Spo. Pat Riley waited till after the divorce was sealed and deal, and he got his re-up. It's crazy. If you ain't found out about it, I did a video about it. You should go read about it. Because Spo's ex, everyone was clowning Spo's ex on social media, big time. If you're talking about polishing up a superstar and getting the most out of the team, I'm going with Phil. If you're talking about X's and O's, I'm going with Larry Brown. So it depends on what we're going by because they are do different types of coaches. Phil knows how to polish up and finish up and act. Larry Brown knows how to coach up and act. Saw what he did with Iverson in the Sixers and he took it on to Detroit. So that's his strength. He coached you up. She probably did. She probably did to get back at him. That's some things some women do, some games like that. Probably did. Probably was one of the lower key cats too. And you have to know what you're dealing with if you're messing with a cheerleader, if you're on a squad, because that's like the first sign that, yeah, well, Spo, young, you know, gonna have women throwing themselves at him, you know. Plus, she got to remember that she was a cheerleader, so of course he's gonna have that. Come on now, it's a certain style of woman that's gonna come after a certain dude. Just saying, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying it's gonna be a certain way it's gonna come out. So, but prime field of Larry Brown at their best, and how they coached and how they got the most out of people, I gotta give it to Phil Jackson. He got the most out of teams than Larry Brown. Larry Brown has had some places where he did hit in Philly, then Waters welcome. He obviously in Detroit, then Waters welcome. New York, he didn't get a chance to, got let go, and elsewhere. He can coach. But what Phil Jackson is able to do is to identify your best and keep it moving. And he get the most out. So Phil got uncanny ability. He's got a knack for getting it. Excuse me. Oh, so I have to give it to Phil. Because now we're not just talking the rings, we're talking about getting the depth. I mean, Doug Collins couldn't do it, and Doug's a good X's and O coach, but he couldn't do what Phil did. You saw what happened to Shaq, but Stan Van Gundy did good, but Phil got him all the way, and Pat Riley came down and got him all the way. See, there's a difference between certain type of coaches. There's tiers to it. George calling a blowout. I know Dunleavy had some success with the Lakers, but George Karl was a better offensive minded coach. George Karl got a lot further. George Karl's run in Seattle and Denver, it's not even close. Dunleavy did good coaching, but George Karl obviously knew how to challenge ego and play. He's just like the Marty Schottenheimer syndrome. The only thing he didn't do was seal the deal with the ring, but he got everything else done in his peak and his prime as a coach. So I know it's kind of short, sweet, and brief to it, but I remember what George Karl did. He just couldn't finish because obviously with Seattle, but the man flat out coached up offense, had teams that won 60 plus games, got the most out of superstars, different players. So, you know, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, all you get to Carmelo, and people thrived in his system. So, I'm gonna tell you something. I would love to say Dan Levy because I think George Karl is a low key bigot, and I ain't the biggest him, but yeah, because he talks a lot of trash, and he said some racial stuff too. But as a coach, I got to give him the edge, and I don't like to, but I have to keep it 100. So no matter what I think about you, I have to separate the two because there are guys that I can respect their talent. I might not be big on them, but I respect what they got skill wise. Can't argue. But yeah, he was a snake. Mm-hmm. Hubie Brown is one of the greatest X and O's guys. Guys who can give you details and can explain the commentary to you from like he was actually coaching on the sidelines to the TV as an analyst. Very few people can do that. I watch somebody tired like Mike Fratello talk, and he puts me to sleep because he just doesn't execute it the same way. Or even listen to Mark Jackson, who was great at it. He did a good job of it, but he did it in a broke down way. But Hubie didn't change his thing. He could still be precise and do it like a science teacher and still say it in a scientific way, but yet you still understood. Very rare, very rare, very distinctive. I don't like to hear Doc Rivers talk about it because it's just not happening. But Hubie, great. So much respect to Hubie. I can listen to Hubie talk. He's really accurate. Mark Jackson was really good at it. He was perceptive. He could pinpoint. He gave you details. Yeah. Basketball, if you know how to talk the intricacies and then you can talk about and then adjustments, etc., then everything else comes into play. So you're not putting people to sleep. So, you know, so I don't like him at all. I think it's a stretch and a reach. It's almost like he's snorting something in the back when he talks because a lot of stuff he don't even believe he's saying. But because he's become a corporate pitchman. He's got the Wendy's commercials, he's NCAA college, and they kind of, for whatever reason, they drew him out of a hat to be a corporate sponsor. But to me, he does stuff like you said it. He's just saying it because that's what the cue cards say. He's kind of a dull cat, kind of corny. You know, he's one of them cats who knew he could play and could shoot. I still say his sister was better, but anyway, that's another video, another subject, another day. But he had crossover. He had some crossover appeal, and of course he's gonna shuffle against Kyrie. That's a no-brainer. So that's how I look at him. He's a California brother too. So, and I heard about some of them cats. Some of them cats be, Valley brother. It comes across kind of like I say, I don't really care for him on TV, and he ain't gonna address Kyrie because he never spoke out about nothing. That chick burned his house down, but that's not starting to, you know. So yeah, he's what they call bought and paid for. Yeah. He ain't gonna make it that long. I think this to be 2 years older than Brady. He ain't gonna make it that long. He like he one good injury from being done in about 2 years, and ain't nobody gonna put up with him till no 47. His body's not gonna hold up. I mean, if you're getting blowed out by teams like the Nets at 39, yeah, well, what's his son's? What he gonna be on a walker? What they gonna do? I mean, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. And I don't even know Bronny's gonna even make it the starting team, let alone lowercase. I think you see LeBron leave LA, but whoever takes Bronny, it's gonna be like a working relation. It's gonna be one of them assigned to a G League to get him up to standards or something. I'm not seeing him as no NBA player, let alone starter, off the bench and probably riding in the 9 to 11 slot And if he gets a little bit of Austin Rivers or something like that, Austin Reeves or something like that comes along, he don't turn to Austin Rivers or something. But I can't see it. I don't see Bronny quite hitting it quite like that. And it sure won't be for the Lakers. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. LeBron's gone. They suck, but they don't suck that bad. They need some defense. I think Shea SGA could be an MVP worthy candidate if he had a more stronger team. Chad is nice. Kid is gonna be nice. We already know about old freaky passport brother Giddy, and he ain't that good. They're missing on defense. They need a little bit more solid off the bench, but they're good enough to be a top 4 team in the West. I can tell you that right now, because Shea alone is gonna make them top 3. But are they a threat? He's a better leader to me than Morant, but Ja's got more of that edge that carries over with the team, and that's what's missing. I think they're a heck of a franchise, and it's just a shame they've only been to one finals with all the talent they draft, because they get MVPs left and right, and got it. If Shea becomes an MVP, you think about it: Harding, Durant, Westbrook, and then maybe Shea. I mean, they've had some bad players. No one buys the Bucks as a threat. I think that Brook Lopez is like the X factor. Dame and them, something's missing. Their defense is one of those guys that if he wins another ring or two, he'll be in the top 15 discussion easily. But that team is kind of mismatched. They're missing something. They're not a threat. And I don't feel Boston. I think Jason Tatum is like the story that they want to save as their favorite American son who plays for their team on the East Coast. But in their heart of hearts, they know that he ain't. Boston is suspect to getting beat. And they also know that he just ain't that dude, because they got fragility. They fraudulent. How many years they been together, and they got one NBA Finals to show for it? Well, duh. I mean, trade half the team. How about 75% of the team? Except I don't even know if you could get 45% of it back. That's how bad it is in Golden State. They might be the worst team. They can't play. And it was sad about their assistant trainer who had the heart attack and died. That was sad. But they suck. They have no identity no more. They old. Everybody in the league then caught up with them. And big guys are shooting. You got guys like Jokic hitting a game-winning 3-pointer 40-footer in your face. With things that Curry could do, it's changed, game and changed. They're not scaring nobody. They're not. He's still bad, but the rest of that squad is a joke. Clay's on the downside. He's a 15 to 25 minute a night guy. He just ain't consistent. His defense ain't there no more. It's not the same. Draymond is trash. Be all that acting and pantomiming, and it's over. Can't carry nobody. Can't hold nobody. You asked me, did I think the Magic could win the division or where I thought they were? And I told you before, since I said they could. They are a playoff team. They are very athletic. Just need either you keep the nucleus together for 3 or 5 more years, or you get you a veteran that complements what they got. But that's a team that nobody really wants to have to deal with in the East. They could definitely be a problem. You know, so definitely be a problem. I'll be on a little while longer. I'm coming back tomorrow, so I'll see how things go tonight. I'll be back on tomorrow. I think the OKC coach will probably get it first, but you can make a strong case for Udoka. Obviously, Udoka, they will make a big deal about it because he came out. The NBA thought they were doing a joke. They thought they were sending him to Saudi Arabia, and he's got the Rockets looking legit, and Dylan Brooks is on his well behavior. So I think he'll definitely get strong consideration. I mean, I know he can coach. He can coach. You know, it was a joke to send him far away, but he should get strong consideration though. Definitely. That's a great question too. He's in the argument, top 2 to 3. Um, keep your eye on Rick Carlisle with Indiana because no one saw that coming with Hillsborough. So keep your eye on that. Yeah, well, that's all he's got going for him. He's bought and paid for. So he's a good coach, but that's not his team. And he can't make rotations and he can't make that team play defense. And he has to figure out a way to build a team around Anthony Davis. Good luck with that. Yeah, he's doing a good job with the Magic. He'll get strong consideration. I think him, Udoka, who's the coach of OKC, those three come to mind. And maybe Rick Carl. Those are my main 4 guys right now off the top of my head. I know somebody's going to be funny and mention Nick Nurse with Philly. And the reason why I say it's funny because I think Nick Nurse is a legit coach. It's just that the Raptors, when Kawhi left, that was it. But he could coach. So I don't see no drop off. And no, it's no comeback story. He was legit. So, okay. But yeah. Ain't nobody want to take that job. Nobody in their right mind. They suck so bad he might actually grow the afro. I mean, they suck. It's Charles Barkley, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Ben Wallace, Sheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups all turn over in their grave. I mean, it's Bill Laimbeer. I mean, it's embarrassing. They stink. They stink. And there's no effort either. No effort at all. The NBA's got too much parity and too much run the mill, watered down for a team to lose 30 games in a row. There's no excuse for that. Yeah, it's embarrassing. I mean, I could see it if we had like a dominant team or something. We don't have nobody that's clear cut. Anybody these teams can be beat. So you're just not giving any effort. That's all. I mean, you can suck like Washington sucks, but that's because they stuck with everybody's head cases. You know, Kyle Kuzma. Though I like Kuz personally, but you know, and Jordan Poole and all that, I understand that. But there's no reason why you should lose no 20 some odd games in a row. You're just not trying. I mean, the Nets got 17, 18 wins, 20 plus losses, and they don't even hardly have nobody that would be a guy that you'd say is going to even look at an all-star game on TV, let alone be on one. But that's just embarrassing. So, yeah. Yeah, I remember. And that took a lot out of them because they were almost fainted when they played the Spurs in the finals. But again, yeah, they set a standard. But Detroit didn't done it in such a way where it's like, oof, brutal. Yeah, well, yeah. Ain't no team gonna win on 33 in the NBA today because ain't nobody set up like that. Golden State was your last hoorah. And when LeBron was in his peak in his prime with Miami, that was the last of that. None of these teams out here today are set up like that. That day is done. So think I'll be on for about 4 more minutes because I got to do some cooking tonight. Give about 4 more minutes. I'm definitely coming back around the same time tomorrow, letting you know. So think about 2 hours ago. No, 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 no. Not even when Bird and them were on. Certainly not with Jason Tatum here. None of that. It's just that was a different day and time, But it's not going to happen now. These two teams, there's too much clone teams that are out now. It's too much similarity, familiarity. It's just not the same. And I don't see no great NBA teams. I see some good potential teams, but again, none of these teams blow me away. That's why I think Miami can sneak it out the East. It don't really even matter. They didn't show you 2 of the last 4 years. They've been they've been overachieving and outmatched, and yet they've been to more finals in the last 2 years than Boston has for all that run that the Celtics had. And then if they beat Milwaukee, they're a threat to go. So that's all I'm saying. But teams aren't dominating like that no more. So no, I'm not buying the Celtics now. Mm-mm. You would have thought back in the day the way Russell and them dominated a Bird, but they're not winning that kind of. That's not like that no more. I don't even know if there's any NBA teams good enough right now to win 65 games. 60 might be the stamp off right now at the most. It's just not the same no more. There is parity, but it's done in a way where these guys either take games off or the way stuff is structured. So it's not the same. It's a different level now. So that's how I look at it. So, all right. Let me know if you got any more questions or any more Primer stuff. I'm ready. I see a couple more people came on board. I'm just waiting for more questions to come up because that's how I'll stick around. If I see the questions coming, I'll stick. If I don't, I'll dip. I've definitely enjoyed the show today. Though it's definitely been on the one. Definitely been happening. Just waiting to see if anybody else got anything else they're going to say. And I'll do the final countdown. Been a great day, though. Good debates, good conversation, lots of great questions. Hopefully come back tomorrow. And I'll see if anybody want to talk. But no, it's tough to come back and win in this day and time. The NBA is different these days. Between free agency and the copycat of the league is what you get. So it's not the same. Anyway, much respect to you, Ted, as always. Great questions, great Q&A. Man, it's like, I was love when we chop it up because it's always like great. Enjoy the show a lot. Others out there lurking, if you ever want to participate, feel free. Ask me questions. I will answer. And I look forward to it. I got to go watch this game and stuff and start cooking. But anyway, I will be back tomorrow and looking forward to the conversation. So peace and the best. Stay safe. Be careful out there until next time we catch you. I'm out. Peace.